Mark, have you been able to work out why there's been these sort of flat performances over, say, the last month or so? I mean, West Coast was pretty flat and really flat in the first half on Saturday.
Yeah. Sometimes when you have a young team, it can happen. Sometimes it can be the campaign. But reality is that we're all professional and that we need to make sure that that sort of reaction or the way that we play doesn't come up. For various reasons, players' concentration levels can be skewed, and so we've reviewed all that, and hopefully going forward we don't have an issue.
Fair to say that the pressure was what was a real hallmark last year and early this year. Sort of the urgency, it seems to have been lacking those last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't discount the opposition during those games that you're talking about. So it can be reflective of a lot of things. We've still got players learning and finding their way through the game, so sometimes that can make the team look like we're flat too.
You see, it's just an aberration in the whole context of the season, I suppose.
Yeah, the game's unforgiving. There are always reasons why you win and lose. Meeting sides at the right time, or they're meeting you at the right time. We travel the most, other sides don't. I quite often get very interested when I see that Richmond sold a game to Darwin. They're disputing whether they should have travelled or not. Well, what they're actually saying is we don't want to travel, and if we had played at home we would have won. Well, we do every second week, so I mean, I'm going back on old ground now, I know that, but this is the toughest campaign. We don't get any exemption in the draw.
How would you sum up your form then in the last month?
Well, it hasn't been good. No, it hasn't been good. We're certainly aware of that. And we're certainly aware of that. Yeah, and so we go through a different cycle now. And we have a look at the next 5 weeks and make sure that we don't find ourselves in this situation where we haven't performed to the level we would have liked to.
Hawthorn are going well, Mark. Do you welcome facing a side like that this week after the past few weeks?
I mean, attitudes of clubs and when you meet them always change depending on the scrutiny of the media, believe it or not. In this case, Hawthorn's different because they're playing well, playing really well. In fact, they've changed a little bit of how they play, and sides have had problems controlling that. So, if you have a look at the way that they've drafted over the last couple of years, or not drafted, traded over the last couple of years, you know what sort of where they're heading, and they're trying to win a grand final. So we're certainly aware of how good a side they are.
What have you made of their new game plan? A lot of short kicks, and they seem to try and hold position a fair bit.
Well, it's an interesting concept, and we'll see. The test of time will tell you whether it's right.
Mark, do you think that was sort of like their real game plan, or was it sort of almost like a sort of control the footy sort of phase in the second half?
I think everyone is trying to beat down things like the press and the zones. So they're looking at a different way to do it.
Do you have to? Oh, sorry,
go on.
I was going to say, do you have to maybe focus on playing more one-on-one style footy then, rather than zones?
In the end, you'd like to play how you want to play and make sure that you, in part, complement or diffuse what the opposition is doing.
Mark, how much longer can you keep playing Matthew Pavlich in the midfield? 6'4", nearly 100 kilos.
Yeah, we actually played the majority of the time forward after half-time last week.
He played the bulk of the season, though, in the midfield, which is a big ask. I don't think we've ever seen a bloke that size ever play that much in the midfield before. And I know he says that he's fine doing it, and I know the injuries, but a guy that size... Can
I ask you what size do you think Ruckman are that play in the midfield?
Yeah, but they're not bending down all the time and trying to get the hard ball.
They would be... Ruckman are the number one or number 2 hard ball get for each team.
But if that's the case, we'd see a lot of 6'4" midfielders, 100 kilo. I know Matthew said it's fine, but to me, it just seems a big ask. Big ask to guy all year, week in, week out, to run around.
As I said, after half time, he played forward. And I'm not into here to justify why Matthew Pavlich plays on ball. In fact, he wants to get on ball as much as he can, particularly when the team needs momentum or we have to change momentum, if you know what I mean. So that's what a captain does.
Am I right in thinking you flagged using Michael Johnson in a different role as early as this one?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Yeah.
And is that, can you expand on that? Is that
No, well,
potentially
that's
on
for
the wing, or-
Hawthorn to guess, yeah.
Would it be I know you probably won't say, but would it be a forward type role, seeing as your sort of marking targets have been letting you down a little bit?
That would be for Hawthorn to guess.
Can we expect any selection surprises this week? Maybe, one that springs to mind is Ben Burkvaz been playing pretty well at Waffle.
There would be possibly a couple of changes. There may well be a first game, but as I said, it's only Wednesday. We play Sunday, and as you can see, the players are training out there in the rain, which is probably a good thing.
Roger Hayden, he'll play Waffle.
Yeah,
this week?
hopefully. Yeah.
Resis or
Feel reasonably confident he'll play this week. Yeah.
will that be through the reserves or?
Yeah.
or yeah.
Same pathway as Barlow.
Right, where do you put Luke McFarlane? Barring injury, probably would have been at least a one-time All-Australian. Very good last week. Where do you he's sort of one of those underrated guys that doesn't get talked about much in the East, but where do you put him as a defender?
Look, he would be one of the premier defenders in the competition, and probably has been for every time he plays. He's just tended to have quite a bit of injury, so he's missed a number of games throughout the courses of seasons that probably hasn't been recognised as that. But if you have a look at him this year, he's certainly been up there with the best of them, and he's taking that challenge on every week. And this week will be Franklin, and it'll be no different. So he's on top of his game, and he's back in the leadership group, and I've seen a significant change in his approach to wanting to do that job for the team.
The performance of your two key defenders, himself and Grover, has that been the one positive that's continued throughout the past month?
It has. I would have liked to have Silvani down there and see how the three operate together as well too, but hopefully that comes in a couple of weeks.
How's he going?
He's about 2 weeks away. But once again, it's 2 weeks plus however long it takes him to get fit.
Well, that was originally is that still the result of the infection, or was that sort of an ongoing problem that he's had, a groin problem that he's had?
No. That's still the effects of that.
So that you missed half the season.
Is that just loading out? He mentioned the other day that he was just working on
Loading, so his body is ready to play, firstly at Waffle level and then beyond that, yeah.
Okay, so he'd have to do a sort of almost like a Barlow type mini pre-season.
I wouldn't have thought it would be as extensive as Barlow and Hayden because he had done quite a bit of pre-season, yeah.
You missed him earlier. He's been very handy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a really good young, tough defender that the team needs at the moment. So.
Mark, when you said 2 weeks, was that 2 weeks before he can come back on the Waffle?
Yeah.
Mark, just back on Booker Bats, it's been a pretty tough road for him, hasn't it? So
Yeah,
it does come up.
He's had a lot of issues. Injury, and what you find a lot of kids coming through their under 18 system, they jump enormously in intensity, and he had a few hip concerns when we first got him, and hence he had a very limited first year. In the second year, he had some groin issues beyond that, so it's good to see him putting some games together.
Is he still on the rookie list at the moment, or has he been elevated?
No.
He's still rookie.
Just back on Pav, I know you spoke about it last night in terms of his form and stuff. A lot of people have speculated that he might be carrying an injury. Is that the case at all?
No. There's not. There's nothing behind it. No. As I said, in quality, as in he probably would have liked his quality to be better, meaning his disposal. But apart from that, I think he's been physically been playing the role for us. I think he's contributing from a leadership point of view. Where's that noise coming from, by the way? That might be Pav trying to answer the question. So he's, I think he's playing quite well. So, but there's a difference of opinion out there in the public domain, and perhaps the media domain. But I think he's okay.
Have you been surprised at the criticism?
Well, I haven't heard too much about it, to be honest. I don't get caught up in all that opinion of how he's going. I know how he's going, and as I said perhaps some of the players should be playing better around him that actually complements what he does.
Mark Fife, his shoulder was okay?
Yeah, should be okay.
Like Jonathan Griffin, any sort of relationship as a ruckman with the midfielders, would you expect that to go up a level, having had one hit at now?
I mean, it takes a while, that, but it doesn't happen instantly. Although you train together a lot. Yeah, as I said, I thought he battled hard last weekend. He just needs to keep enhancing his game and making sure that the team and the midfield team that he has around him, that he keeps developing that relationship so it becomes a real strength.
And even though he's out at the moment, can Sandilands play a role in that at training and sort of working between Griffin and the...
He does, yeah. He does.
Well, I think Matthew said the other day that maybe like last week's game was an example of St Kilda players sort of finally clicking after having their structures rearranged. Is that sort of like the start of the season? You seem to have quite a consistent sort of selection basis before injuries started hitting around about round 4 or 5. Has that constant sort of chopping and changing now, is that a real part of what was going on with the dropping in intensity and skills and things like that?
The nature of why a team looks on or off, it can be different weekly, but the better sides do it consistently. And when teams, apart from the top 4 teams at the moment, the rest of us are fighting through situations that can be difficult, and you know that at times you will fluctuate because you are developing your team. In the end, I think this is going to be the strength of our team. The fact that we're going through a long list of injury, but we are pushing our guys in between 20 to 40 to play a lot more at this level. And we're finding out a lot more, and hopefully through experience and games, that when the availability is a lot better, that we see a completely different dimension to the level of intensity that the whole group can perform, not fluctuate.
And you said the other day that it was about the flattest you've ever seen the group. Did you have any sort of special meeting with the leadership group at all about that?
I think when I said the flattest, I meant in their ability to be able to sustain and play to the level of game plan that we wanted them to. So I'm not talking about necessarily the energy or how they ran. I'm more talking about flat from a concentration point of view. Yeah, they appear to be distant in their thinking through the game. That's what I was talking about.